Hi, in this video I'm going to be sharing with you how leaving my narcissistic relationship was actually a turning point in my healing journey. Hi, my name's Gret Leach and I'm a former lawyer making my transition into my full-time purpose to help you to live a life of joy, inner peace, confidence and passion by understanding who you are at a soul level and by reaching your full potential. I'm really excited to share this video with you, and in the video I'm going to be sharing with you my own personal experience of healing and also a spiritual awakening. But before I get into the video, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button because it will help me to grow the channel and reach more people that need to hear my messages. Without further ado, we'll get into the video. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be chatting to you about my experiences of leaving my narcissistic relationship. This was now 7 years ago. I think it was August 2016. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, actually 8 years ago now. And the reason that prompted me to do this video and chat to you about this today is that I know it will resonate with a lot of you that are in this situation or potentially have been in this situation. And I also started reading, I was in the garage the other day and I saw on the shelf this book, She Is Magic, and I actually wrote a section in this book, it was about 4 or 5 years ago now, and it was called Just a Girl Who Decided to Go For It. And you can see there, it's got my name on, and there's a full section of quite a few pages and a little bit about me at the end. And it prompted me to come on because it really touched me quite deeply, reading some of the things that I'd actually written in this book about who I was before I healed, who I was before I went on this spiritual journey. And I feel like it's really, really important that when we make progress and we grow and we evolve and we heal, that we go back and revisit how we used to feel and the person that we was, because it enables us to feel gratitude for how far we've actually come. And it filled me with joy reading it. You know, I can feel that emotion now in my heart, and there was paragraphs and sentences in here that I read that actually, you know, made me cry. And one of them was when I was talking about when I met my ex-partner, which was the narcissistic relationship, and that was at the age of 23, and I was with him for 6 years. And it just says in here, you know, for the first 12 months of being together, we were already having arguments, and it became clear very quickly that we triggered each other, but I wanted the relationship to work. We spent our weekends drinking and doing what we could to numb ourselves, which was drugs. But I remember when I wrote this, I remember when my partner read it at the time, he said, it's really good, but I feel like you've held back. And this is another example that I was scared of what people were going to think of me if I made myself vulnerable, and I talked about the fact that I did drugs, and it was one of the things that I did to escape reality and escape who I was as a person. And so I've read this book and I can see how a lot of the things that I've wrote in here I have held back about talking about drugs. I don't even talk about drugs at all in here. All I do is skirt around it, like we spent our weekends drinking and doing what we could to numb ourselves. It says we didn't do the normal things that couples do, like going out for meals or to the cinema. After a few years of being together, we decided to move in together. It didn't quite work out how I had imagined. I found myself with no money most of the time and dreading the weekends because I often ended up on my own. That's when the arguments became really bad. The relationship felt mentally and emotionally controlling. That's all I really mention about it. But I knew it was a narcissistic relationship. I knew it was domestic abuse. But I didn't go into detail in the book because I didn't want to again, be vulnerable and open myself up to people saying, do you know what, I think I was scared of him actually reading this book at the time, because I was even then scared that he might then get in touch with me somehow and say, why are you writing a book about me? And you know, and I think I was just, although I'd taken responsibility for me and the things that I did wrong and the things that weren't right for me in the relationship and the way I treated him at times as well, it was still a very, very horrible relationship to be in. To be in a relationship where you're being emotionally and psychologically controlled, and it's also you're physical with each other and you're doing drugs and alcohol every weekend. It was not a nice relationship to be in, but that's all I really said. And I just said it was the darkest time of my life because I felt trapped. My mind and body were screaming at me to get out, but something kept me there. I often sat on the sofa at home crying because I was so unhappy. And when I read that line there, that touched me and made me feel sad, because I remember the girl that I was when I used to sit on that sofa in the living room crying, and I just remember it feeling cold and empty and dark, and it just wasn't a nice time. And I also say, looking back, there was no Gretel in that chapter of my life, which there wasn't. It was all about my partner and how I could support him. I completely neglected the most important person, which was me. And it goes on. I'm not going to read the whole of the book here, but there were certain things that I actually wrote in here that I read, and it did upset me, and that's the reason that it's prompted me to come on here, because I haven't always been this version of myself that I am now. This version of myself that I am now, I'm in a loving, supportive, respectful, trusting relationship with my partner. We've just got engaged on holiday. We are so happy and so in love, and I've got 2 beautiful dogs, I've got a lovely house, I've got another amazing business with my partner, and life is good, and I am happy, and I feel inner peace. I'm still human, I still go through things in life. We are all going to go through things. Our mind is going to challenge us. My mind has been challenging me recently. There's some things that I've been working on, some stuff I will share in another video when the time is right, when I have gone through all of that and I'm able to then pass that on to you guys. But I want this video to be about the stage that you are at right now, and the stage that you are at right now is the stage that I was at. And when I came away from that narcissistic relationship and the lifestyle of covering up how I truly felt and hiding the anxiety, putting on that mask, pretending to be someone that I wasn't, living as that conditioned version of myself, when I came away from him, the darkness and the relationship that consumed my every thought every single day, because I didn't have capacity to even look at myself. I didn't have capacity to explore who I was. I didn't have capacity to love myself, because all that I was doing was focusing on him and that unhealthy relationship and how I could support him, how I could make him better, and I didn't even come into the equation. And the drugs and alcohol were what fused us together, because that was the only time that we could actually have a conversation and it feel a little bit like he was the person I wanted him to be, which is sad, isn't it? Because it's just not reality. But when I chose to come away from all of that and leave the relationship and leave the drugs and alcohol behind, that is when it really, really illuminated to me how lost I actually was, and how I had no self-confidence, no self-esteem. I didn't know who I was, and there was times, and I mention it in the book, that I didn't even feel worthy of his time having a meal with him. Now how sad is that? I didn't even feel worthy of sitting down, having a meal with him. And you know, it makes me sad and emotional for that girl that I was. And I couldn't even have a conversation with him on the telephone because I would be worried he was going to be laughing at me, he was going to judge me. And it was not a nice time, and it really, when I took all of the comfort blankets away, all of the things that were distracting me, and I actually said yes to me. I said yes to being better. I said yes to healing. I said yes to wanting a partner that was going to fulfill me and make me feel happy and bring something to my life that I'd always felt deep down that I wanted. It was tough. It was really, really, really tough. And for the first 6 months, I basically had a breakdown, and it's all in the book that I wrote about. I had a breakdown because I tried everything I could. I started going to yoga, which I loved. I started journaling, meditating, dipping my toes into the spiritual side of things. I did all of the things that I could do myself, but it didn't change how I felt about myself. It didn't change my mindset. It didn't change the energy. I had a breakdown, and my partner said, look, I would never normally recommend medication to someone, but I do feel that this is what you need to get you through this phase of your life. And I'm not somebody that relies on things either, and I didn't want to, but at that particular time I was just desperate. I was absolutely desperate. And I remember being in the car, and I'd got a doctor's appointment to go and speak to them about being put onto some kind of anti-anxiety medication or something, and I was I got stuck in traffic on the way home, and I remember just feeling I got stuck in traffic and I was late for the appointment, and I remember ringing them and they were saying you're going to have to rebook, and that was when that moment happened, and everything just came crumbling down. And I not only was struggling with anxiety, debilitating anxiety every day, shame, guilt, my mind just racing. I also felt depressed because I'd spent my whole life pretending to be someone, and there's a reel that always goes around on Instagram, and it's Jim Carrey, and it's this famous speech, and he just said depression is when your body is saying fuck you, I've had enough of pretending to be this person, this avatar, this mask, or whatever you want it to be, and your body needs deep rest. And that's the point I got to. I got to the point where it was just unbearable, and I went to the doctors in the end. They put me on anti-anxiety medication. I went to CBT, I went to counselling, and don't get me wrong, it helped me a lot, and I couldn't have got through that phase in my life without those additional tools and the medication. But I knew I didn't want to rely on that medication because I knew it wasn't getting to the root of my problems, and so gradually, after about 6 to 8 months, I weaned myself off it, and then that's when my first coach came along. And the moral of the story is that when, as hard as it is, as difficult as the situation is that you are in that time, whether you're in a controlling, abusive relationship, whether you're addicted to drugs or alcohol or something, unless you make a decision to be better, to heal, to want a better life, to want something better for yourself, to want to be a better version of yourself, to live that life that you desire, that you so deeply crave, you want, you know it's your birthright, you know you're here to live that life. Until you make that decision to break away, the universe cannot provide those things to you that it needs to provide in order for you to go on this healing journey, and in order for you to become more aware of what the things are that are causing the suffering, that are holding you back from being the best version of yourself, you have to have the courage, you have to find that courage from somewhere to say yes to you. You know that my tagline is, it starts with you. It has to start with you, and then the universe will follow. So the situation, whatever stage you are at, you have to make that decision, because you're not going to become that version of yourself that you want to become if you stay where you are now. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel all of the things that you feel. If you feel regretful of your past and decisions that you've made, if you feel shame, if you feel regret, it's okay to feel those things. But what's not okay is to keep carrying those things throughout the rest of your life, because you're not your past. You go through all of these things in your life for a reason, and it served you at that particular point in your life. What can you take away from that? Where can you grab gratitude from those things? For example, with me, the narcissistic relationship, I'm so grateful that he was in my life. I'm so grateful that I went through those dark times. I'm so grateful that I went to go and experience all these wild weekends and these parties of drug taking and alcohol, and you know, there's part of me that I still think about and I think, oh God, they were good times. Oh, that felt good. I'm so glad that I did all of that, because I wouldn't have found my soulmate. I wouldn't appreciate and love him the way that I do so much. I wouldn't appreciate my life so as much. I wouldn't again appreciate the inner peace that I feel now, the confidence that I feel just being me. Because if I hadn't been through all of those tough times, I wouldn't have experienced that polarity. So I wouldn't know what it feels like to feel the opposite end of the spectrum, to be in a deep, dark hole, to be just all of the things that I've talked about. If I hadn't experienced all of that, I wouldn't be the version of myself that I am now. I wouldn't be standing here talking to you today. I wouldn't be able to help you with all these things, because I wouldn't have been through it. But experience is the highest form of knowledge that there is. And people want to relate to other people's stories. They want to relate to people's vulnerability. They want to know that they're not the only ones going through it. And I know that that's what you're thinking when you watch this now. So I know that the reason that I go through things in my life, and the reason that I live life so deeply and I feel so deeply and I experience things so deeply, is because I'm meant to, because I've been placed on this earth as a starseed. I am here to raise my own consciousness and the consciousness of the planet, including you watching this right now. And in order for me to do that and be the best version of myself that I can, I had to go through all that. And I continue to grow. I continue to experience things. I continue to go through phases of my life that really challenge me. And sometimes I think, universe, please just give me a break. But I go through all of that so I can be this version of you that you see here. So I can stand in front of you and help you guys. And my business has been a journey. It's a story for another day. But again, that has also been a massive journey over the last 5 to 6 years of getting to this point now and going through all of that and experiencing all the ups and downs and the failures and everything else. But that's all been for you. That's all been so I can now stand here and say, I know who I'm supposed to be helping. I know what I can help them with, and I know how I can help them with that. So it's just beautiful. It's just such a beautiful journey to go on. And I want that for you guys as well. I want you to be able to experience that and also have someone that can be by your side as a guide to help you through those times, somebody that's experienced it all, somebody that can guide you and support you. But today, I want you to just say yes to you. Say yes to you and make that change today, because you're not going to reach that version of yourself if you stay where you are now. This book, the information in there is not up to date. It has got to connect with Gretel, please visit. The website is incorrect. My website is now www.gretleach.com, and my Facebook private page is Gret Leach 11. My private page is Gret Leach and my business page is Gret Leach 11. So you can still find me on social media. All of my links and things are on YouTube anyway. But if you want to go away, and I think this is really cheap, you can buy this by an ebook as well. But if you wanted to read my chapter in She Is Magic, then please go ahead, purchase it. I don't think it costs a lot. But it's just really, really nice to connect into and get a feel for me and my experience. And yeah, it doesn't go into the detail that when I write a book, because I have got a plan to write a book. And when I write that book to help you guys and to help people in the world, and I share my story in there, that will be the full, unfiltered, vulnerable truth about my life. I'm proud of myself for what I did in that book, because at that particular time I was probably only about a year or two into my spiritual awakening and my evolutionary journey, and I was trying to show up more online. I was trying to share my story, my experiences, to be more vulnerable. It helped me to heal. So I'm super proud of the girl that wrote that, even though it wasn't, even though I know I held back, and even though things have evolved and changed since then. I'm not an intuitive anxiety coach, I'm a soul alignment coach. Again, that goes back to everything I say about the journey that's happened for me over the last 5 years with my conscious entrepreneur journey, which again is definitely something that I'm going to share at some point. But yeah, it's all just great. It's exciting. And I'm super proud of everything that I've achieved, and it just makes me really happy that I can stand here as this version of Gret Leach in front of you guys to now help you from this open heart space of taking me out of the equation and focusing on you. What can I bring to your life? What can I help you with? Let's go, basically, let's go. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know, if you're watching this, let's chat in the comments. Let me know what stage of your journey you're at. Let me know how you're feeling. Let's chat about it. Let's just, move forward together and know that I'm going to be this presence that has been through it and you're not alone. As always, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you on the next video. Lots of love.